which should be the most important goal in our lives, to please God. Everything that we should be doing is to please God because we're sacred and sanctified. And he says that in verse 3, he says, "For this is the will of God, your sanctification." And sanctification means sacred, it means set apart, it means dedicated for a specific purpose. And it goes back to the times of the temple. Everything in the temple was sanctified. The vessels were sacred, they were set apart for the service of God. And we know that Nebuchadnezzar ended up destroying the temple in 586 BC. And he hauled off all of the temple vessels to Babylon. You roll forward, his grandson, Belshazzar, is having this huge party full of debauchery, and they're worshiping the gods of gold and silver. And Belshazzar says, "Bring those vessels out. Let's get those vessels out from the temple that my father," he says his father, but it was Nebuchadnezzar, took. They bring out all of the vessels, they fill it up with wine, and they continue with the party. And all of a sudden, beside the lampstand, he sees a hand with a finger writing on the wall. And the writing says, "Mene, mene, tekel, parson." And no one knows what that means. So they try to figure it out. They end up bringing in Daniel. And Daniel says, "Numbered, numbered, weighed, divided." What that means is that your days are numbered, you've been weighed in the scale and found wanting, and your kingdom will be divided. And that night, the kingdom was divided between the Medes and the Persians. That night, they came into Babylon based on that. And it was because those vessels that were consecrated and set apart for God were defiled. And we're the same way. We are vessels that are set apart for God. And to the extent we defile our bodies, or we defile and don't bring glory to God, then we ultimately just bring his scorn. We're supposed to be special. We're supposed to be totally set aside for God.